Hello friends! Welcome to an exciting new series that I have been prepping for, honestly, for a couple months. Mainly because I'm really slow at building in The Sims 4, because it's not The Sims 2. But I have decided to do a Decades Challenge. Now, we are doing the Extreme Decades Challenge that Morbid Simmer herself has edited and sort of created. So we are going to be following her rule sets. I'm going to be linking those in the description below, so that way if you kind of want to follow along with the rules, you can do that, as well as my spreadsheets. Now, just so you know, my spreadsheets will contain spoilers because they include mortality rate information. So if you want to follow along narrative style and just be surprised at what happens, then I advise not to look at the spreadsheets. When things start to get a little bit more chaotic and the families get bigger, we will also be launching some family trees that you guys can follow along with. I know that really helped a lot of you with New Whitby, with my Victorian Sims challenge, so we will get there as well. Without further ado, we are entering Henford on Bagley, 1300. We are starting so early, I kind of can't believe it. Now here is our generation 1. We have Adric and his wife Briar. Now you might notice that Adric and Briar don't entirely get along very well, and this is kind of shocking to me because Briar is literally a Disney princess. She is constantly singing, she is constantly frolicking with the butterflies and the birds. It's honestly precious. I really like Briar, but Adric is actually a hothead. Here's a little tour of the house. We have really 2 rooms, which is quite a lot for a peasant. We're starting them off obviously very lower class, and I wanted it to really be challenging for them to kind of grow in social mobility at the beginning of the challenge. So Adric is unfortunately hot-headed, and they are mostly going to be making their money from farming. And farming does not make you a ton of money very early on, so I wanted to make sure that they kind of stayed in the lower class, so that way throughout the generations they will, you know, start to develop more money as they age into new generations. So unfortunately, our hot-headed boy Adric here, not really getting along with his wife. They're very hot and cold because you can see that they have these negative interactions, and yet literally seconds later they're just like flirting again, and it's totally fine. So we send Briar out in the rain so that way we can get some fruits, some seeds, some things to actually like plant, because we need that. We also have no groceries. We don't have a ton of money. You can see that we have about 300 simoleons, which really isn't a lot. So we get home with our new produce, but before I decide to do any planting, I really wanted to get going on these 2 and the next generation. And that is because, oh god, life expectancy in the 1300s was terrible. Oh, it's so bad. Like, if you guys thought my Victorian Sim challenge mortality rates were cruel, this is a completely different story. It shocks even me how cruel these mortality rates are. So thank you, Morbid Simmer, for, you know, killing all of our Sims in preemption. Briar does most of the cooking in the house, although sometimes Adric does as well. It's really just kind of whoever has time, and generally there's not really a whole lot of outdoor work that we can even be working on at the moment, so Adric doesn't have a whole lot of labor to be doing. However, I am trying to sort of divide up their tasks based on gender in this era. So Adric would be doing a lot of the maintenance around the house. He'll be fixing the bathtub, the sink. Now, I know it's a little bit unrealistic that we would have a bathtub, that we would have a sink, that we would have these kinds of more modern amenities. And I mean, we know that water closets inside the house don't really exist in this period yet, but for my sanity, we have a very, very cheap set of things in the bathroom. They're all made of wood. They look historical. They would normally, like the chamber pots and stuff, we would be using chamber pots, but it's kind of like a chamber pot. Just trust me. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. If you guys notice historical inaccuracies, feel free to point them out to me. However, I am trying to... Oh, look at Briar. She's developed the green thumb. That's perfect for her because she's doing so much of the gardening. Now, unfortunately, the garden is really kind of struggling. We're only on day 2 of spring. Now, every 4 days in this game is a year. So we are halfway through our first year in the challenge. I also have some foraging mods that I do let my Sims kind of harvest from. However, they're kind of broken, which I discovered now as I start to attempt to forage, and he just gets nothing in his inventory, so I'm gonna have to go back and fix that. I didn't realize quite how many of my mods were actually broken until I started playing, but it's okay. It's The Sims 4. We take our lumps. We understand what we're getting. Adric usually has a very low fun meter. For some reason. His wife, Briar, normally totally fine, great consistent, like, happy all the time. But Adric, no, he's very cranky, he's very hot-headed, he's very grumpy, and his fun is just tanked all the time. So I do let him have some nice warming by the fire, a little bit of fun with his wife because we still aren't pregnant, and I just would really love to get Generation 2 moving. I am very scared about how many children are going to die before they actually can age up and become an heir. It's a justifiable concern, trust me. I have anxiety. But we let them have a little fun, and she's still not pregnant. So according to the rules, I believe we're not technically supposed to have them try for a baby more than once a day, but I'm going to be bending the rules every so often, and I think it's fair considering the fact that we couldn't start off this generation earlier. Like, normally in this era, I would be letting my Sims as teenagers start to get married and have kids, so that way we can kind of circumvent the really rough mortality rate. However, we finally have some good luck, and Briar announces to her husband that she is pregnant with Generation 2. Adric is kind of nonplussed, but I think he's excited. He immediately goes to fix the broken sink, and oh my god, this sink breaks every 5 minutes, but it's fine. It's what we can afford. As you can see, we have 47 simoleons in our household inventory, which really isn't a whole lot. Laundry is also starting to pile up, so I generally have Briar work on the laundry, and it's nice to just kind of enjoy these small, simple moments with these Sims, and that's something we can really play up in the 14th century, really just focusing on domestic tasks and just sort of like embracing the everyday mundaneness of life and also the beauty of life. Wait, why are my plants dying? It's like day 2. How are all of my plants dead? What happened? Oh my god, I've been watering them. I don't know why they would be dying. That's super weird. Do I have a mod that affects plants? Is it broken? Maybe it's broken. I don't know what I've done. That's really weird. If any of you have had this issue before, let me know, because I'm really curious as to what the problem really is. So we go inside after throwing away our poor dear dead plant, which breaks my heart because we spent money on that stuff and we will not be getting that money back. And we finish up some of the day's household chores. We hang up our laundry. We finish making some dinner. It's 9 p.m., so it's pretty late in the day. And we should probably start sending these two to bed, especially our pregnant Briar, before she gets a little bit too cranky. But okay, these guys are actually really cute together. I don't know how I feel about them, because look at her, singing in the bathroom like a proper Disney princess, as Briar does. She's just like such a pure spirit, and Adric is so very complicated. No, not my carrots. What happened to my carrots? Oh my god, no. Oh, we are losing. We have mushrooms and parsley left, and an apple tree that won't bear fruit until fall. So great, that's fantastic. To kind of combat this, I know technically we aren't supposed to be harvesting more than once a season. However, because we're having some glitches, I'm going to let them harvest these mushrooms a few extra times because they're just mushrooms, you know, and mushrooms grow fast. I'm also remarkably disappointed in the lack of collectibles and harvestables that are in this world. Like, it feels very much as though EA phoned it in with actually decorating and making the world like lively and energetic and like consistent with the other worlds, because the other worlds have a ton of plants and stuff that are just growing naturally, and normally we could rely on harvesting from those, but I'm just like, I'm seeing nothing, and I send Adric out to search a lot, and instead we don't find anything but butterflies. And butterflies are great, but we can't eat them for dinner, so like, what do you expect me to do? Oh, Briar, honey, you love to sing, but you're not great at it. I'm very sorry to hear that. No, not the parsley! What's happening? What's happening? Okay, well, at the very least, we can evolve one of our mushrooms, and there goes the parsley. So we are going to live exclusively off of mushrooms, which could be better. It really could. I'm remarkably disappointed in this situation, and surely I have a mod that is broken that affects the rate of harvesting. Like, that has to be it. So in another search for harvestables, because it's the 14th century and traveling takes a very long time, I don't really want Adric and Briar to actually leave the town. Oh, can they not click on the bridge? I can't have them, like, stand on the bridge? Oh my god, who designed this world? I have so many thoughts about it. So eventually we find a fishing nook, because despite the fact that they live along a river, there are no fishing spots along the entire river. I've been playing this game for like 30 minutes and I'm already losing my mind a little bit about the phoning it in from EA. Like, so much better. They could have done so much better. But that's okay. We find a fishing spot and we come home to our now very pregnant wife. I think she's in her second trimester, maybe her third trimester. And we actually have some fish that we caught that we can bring home and serve for dinner. Thankfully, we can have fish and mushrooms. What a combination. So Briar cooks up that fish. We're gonna have, I think, some fish tacos, which isn't necessarily historically accurate, but I haven't kind of worked on that sort of overhauling part of the game yet. So if like the medieval cookbook or whatever is actually updated, I should probably get that. I just wasn't sure. Oh, we actually went with a poke bowl this time. We did the fish tacos earlier with our like one egg that we actually bought from the store because we don't have anything. I actually do kind of like that we can't go into like proper stores at the moment. It's just sort of like booths set up. Like, that feels a little bit more historically accurate. So we do kind of go with that. Oh my god, a little bunny! Hello, you're so cute! And because of the way that Briar is, I, of course, send her out to actually sort of socialize with the bunny, become friends with the bunny. I don't know, like, I've never really played around with the bunnies, and so I'm super excited to actually see what they do. Now, Briar, this isn't exactly what I meant when I commanded you to do some knitting. I thought she was going to do some knitting, like, on the couch, maybe? On the bed, literally anywhere else, but nope, they're hanging out in the bathroom. It's probably because she's so pregnant. It's just to that point where it's like, it's easier for me to do all of my tasks in the bathroom. And they spend a little bit of time frolicking in the pond as they do to build their fun up. And we are getting remarkably close to the birth. I'm so excited for Generation 2 and not very hopeful that they'll survive, but excited nonetheless. Oh, and we're finally in labor! Oh, this is so exciting. It's convenient that she went into labor in a pond, so like if her water broke, it just went straight into the pond, nourishing those poor little plants that apparently just want to die on me. And Adric, of course, is having a little panic. He's freaking out. He's not necessarily emotionally prepared for the baby, but the baby is coming nonetheless. So let's send Briar inside to have her little baby. We do thankfully have a nursery, and I've put a couple cribs down just so that we are fully prepared in case we end up with multiples, although Actually, I'm kind of hoping for multiples at this point. Okay, it's a boy. It's a boy. So we're going to name him Winthrop. Winthrop Wortham. Their last name is Wortham, by the way. I think I forgot to tell that to you. So we have maybe a little heir, hoping that he survives into at least teenagehood to keep the family line going. So that is wonderful. Thank goodness it's Thursday, which means we have just completed our first year in the challenge. So tomorrow when we wake up, it will be 1301. Because we are in such an early generation, we will be also only breastfeeding just to kind of replicate the historicity of it a little bit more. Like formula wasn't really readily available, and they're also poor, you know. And look at Adric congratulating his wife on a job well done. Thankfully, he's actually being nice to her. Finally, our apple tree springs to life. We are in the later months of spring, meaning spring will be over fairly soon and it will fall into summer. Now, Adric is doing a lot of the gardening and, of course, still spends a lot of time in his pond. I think the pond might actually be Adric's favorite part of the entire house. And meanwhile, Briar is being such a good and doting mother to little Winthrop. They're developing quite a good relationship, and I'm really hopeful that their relationship will continue to foster throughout his ages. Meanwhile, because of the labor, she's still really recovering, and so Adric is taking on a few more chores around the house that his wife normally would do. You know, stuff has to get done, whether or not you're recovering from labor. And so Adric is doing some laundry, although maybe a little begrudgingly. I'm not sure it's exactly his favorite task. However, it is now Love Day, and so I was pretty excited about Love Day because they could maybe start trying for another baby, and I want to keep things rolling, keep things going fast, and so I actually decided to send them on a little date. However, I'm keeping them at home because really our only community lot right now is the church. So I don't want to send them on a date to the church like on a Friday, you know, like the only times they're going to really be going to the church is on Sunday. They end up being pretty cute and generally have a pretty good date. We actually get them all the way up to gold for their date, which I'm a little excited about because that means we get the date reward and that means we can sell it. And as you can see, we're really struggling to sell enough mushrooms to actually keep any kind of income in the house. So that's obviously a bit of a moment of desperation for us. Now, of course, I decide to end the date with a little woohoo, which I am fingers crossing ends up in a baby. I really hope so. These two don't seem to be the most fertile, honestly. Like, they end up having to woohoo quite often to actually get a positive pregnancy. And she's not pregnant. Of course she's not. Why make my life easy? Why just, you know, be fertile? So we do sell the golden date reward, and I'm very excited because that means we can maybe get an animal. And so really the cheapest animal I can think of would be the chickens. And that way we can have some eggs for our cooking. I think that'll supplement a lot of great protein for our peasants. And really, peasants in this area, the only way they get produce is really to grow it and trade with other growers and farmers in their town. Now, unfortunately, we can only afford a single chicken. So we've got a single chicken, and we're not going to see a whole lot of that chicken because it doesn't seem to like us very much. Briar is finally back on her feet, feeling better, feeling good, feeling up to tasks of gardening and doing laundry. So we take care of our sad, sad little mushroom plants. And we take care of a little bit of laundry, and we bought her a couple seed packets as well, so I'm going to have her open those, and we're gonna try again, and hopefully end up with plants that don't die literally 1 to 2 days later. Maybe I planted them in the wrong season? Would that actually affect them? Has there been like a gardening overhaul update that I've just completely missed? So we plant some more carrots and a few more mushrooms, and we pray for the best. We also have some bananas too. Now again, we are going to try for a baby today. I'm really hoping this does the trick because it's already Saturday and we had little Winthrop on Wednesday or Thursday, so I would really like to get that going. Now I know using the pregnancy test isn't necessarily historically accurate, but according to the rules, pregnancies last 3 days, and I feel like it would elongate it to 4 if we didn't use the pregnancy tests. Adric seems a little more traumatized with this one, which I don't know if we can really blame him for. We decide to play around with a little bit of the canning. We have so many mushrooms, and so Briar decides to make some canned preserved mushrooms that can hopefully last them throughout the winter. Although I'm a little disappointed. I mean, A, they look adorable. They're so cute. I love the little packages the mushrooms come in. B, it doesn't really give you a lot of hunger points, which is kind of disappointing. But like, look at the little mushrooms. They're so cute. They're adorable. I'm a big fan. Like, I will continue to use the preserves just because it's adorable. So Adric takes a bit of a nap. I mean, okay, it's not actually a nap. It's like 10 p.m. So Adric decides to head to bed while his wife does some knitting. Now, it's kind of the middle of the night, but Adric's fun is really abysmal. I just can't keep it up. So we send him outside. Thankfully, his wife is asleep, and then we can have Adric actually sort of take care of Winthrop. Not necessarily that he wants to take care of Winthrop, but if he's awake and the baby is screaming, he needs to take care of the child. His fun, still low. We really have nothing fun for them to do, which is kind of unfortunate. I should really look into some more mods that have, like, things that are cheap that can be fun. The house is in a bit of disarray, with Adric having to pick up extra slack from his now pregnant wife. Oh no, we have really expensive bills. We owe like 400 simoleons? Are you serious? Oh, they do have a cute little like autonomous woohoo, which is pretty nice. But how are we supposed to afford these bills? We've now entered summer, and our poor pregnant Briar is just sitting and eating cheese while waiting for this baby to be born. She's looking very pregnant and very uncomfortable. Her needs are also all over the place. They're completely chaotic. But it's time for little Winthrop's birthday. So Winthrop is aging up into a toddler. Let's randomize. Ooh, independent. Okay, that's not a bad one. That's actually like my favorite of the options for toddlers. So he has black hair. He's super pale like his mom, but he has his dad's green eyes too. Or maybe his mom. I can't actually remember if his mom has green eyes, but I fuss around with him a little bit. He looks adorable. Look at that little missing tooth in the front of his smile. So here's little Winthrop. I'm a little obsessed with him. He's such an adorable child, but hopefully he continues to age up well and will enjoy his life with the Worthams. So thankfully he has some things that can entertain him in the house. Not a whole lot though. And look at that. We have so much going on today. It is time for Briar to give birth to their second baby. And of course, Adric is freaking out because he's just honestly a little bit useless with this kind of stuff. But that's okay. We can forgive him. So while Winthrop is potty training himself, she goes into labor in the same room, and it's a girl, and so we're gonna name her Melba. So that is the end of our first episode. We will start off next episode finishing off year 1302. If you have any great mod recommendations, please feel free to let me know. I'm still learning with The Sims 4, as you can imagine. But thank you so much for your presence. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more of the Decades Challenge. I'll see you next time. Bye!